As the ANC wraps up the 55th National Conference today, the party now has a task to restore the party in its path to renewal and unity. The re-elected ANC National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe has highlighted the importance of discipline among the party's members. Now, to take this discussion further, we are now joined here in studio by Professor Mazwe Majola to unpack the kind of leadership this new ANC leadership will have to demonstrate and deal with going forward. Prof, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Of course, a lot to unpack. We'll be going to Nasrec momentarily as soon as President Cyril Ramaphosa does his closing remarks. But perhaps let's start our conversation here. You know, for several months now, some senior ANC, NEC members, in fact, of the past 5 years have been complaining that NEC has been the weakest in the party's history. So just looking and focusing on the top 7, you know, what kind of leadership is needed there for it to kind of steer the organization into its renewal vision, first of all, and also to, if at all possible, to reduce its, dwindling numbers ahead of the 2024 election. I'm saying reduce because at this point in time, with 18 months to go to the 2024 elections, it's impossible that they will reverse those numbers.
So definitely they will need discipline because as you are saying that in the last 5 years it has been a free-to-all within the ANC, so they need to bring back that discipline within the members. But at the same time, it's got to be very, very relational, because people are bruised. Towards the elections like this, where there's been horse trading and there's been lobbying, so indeed there are those who have won, but there are those who are disappointed that their candidates did not make it. Yes, within the ANC, those people must rally behind the elected leaders. But we are dealing with human beings here. We are dealing with people with feelings, with emotions. That's a very emotional thing when you want your person to get there and then it didn't get it. So you need that high level of relationship building. And of course the unity, so you need the unifier, all of them, the top 7, to preach, to practice unity. However, I've always been warning that when you deal with unity must not translate to conformity. Conformity, it's punitive measures. It's punishment based, that you do like we do. If you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. So that's conformity, which is not good for the health culture of the organization. But also unity must not translate to uniformity. In other words, that we do things alike here. We talk the same language. It's the same idea. It's the same. Everything's about same. To the point that you don't allow differences and diversity within the movement.
When you look at then the makeup of the top 7, I mean, you talk a lot about unity, but we know there is going to be a lot of pushback, within that top leadership. We know, of course, the likes of, Nomvula Mokonyane make it a very interesting, top 7. Of course, she also has been at the forefront of saying that the previous NEC, particularly at Cyril Ramaphosa's helm, has been the weakest in the history of the party. So the dynamic of these 7 individuals that are supposed to steer this party, because you talk about unity, but more importantly here, we know we are dealing with human beings, but this is an organization that is essentially in crisis. So they would need to stop looking internal all the time and start paying attention to what is currently happening in the country.
So you need those leaders, those top 7 leaders, to choose the organization. You need them to say the interest of the organization must be above the interest of individuals. If there were any differences, for instance, I think Nomvula would not have preferred for Ramaphosa to come back. But now then, she's part of this collective. She must graduate, and she must show and exhibit that maturity, and shows that we can work together now, or we should work together now for the sake of the organization, so that whatever differences that were there, they must be able to say that, look, for the sake of the organization, for the sake of the country, because of course they want to win the 2024 election, let's work together and let's complement each other. If they see that Ramaphosa is found wanting in certain qualities, in certain areas, the others must be able to complement him and work together, instead of competing against each other and complaining and comparing. That's not going to assist, but they need to complement one another now and say, we are top 7, we are here, and let's work together. It won't assist to keep on saying and hopefully the next NEC now that they're going to choose, they're going to elect, it's going to be a formidable one, it's going to be balanced, and everyone's going to be comfortable with it, such a way that everyone will be able to rally behind and say, let's work together, instead of looking back and say the NEC that we had in the last 5 years was weak, was not. But now, what is going to happen now? The ANC must show the world, must show the country, must show its own members that they've got capacity and will to serve correct. And
talking about the new NEC now, I understand, of course, they are still in that process of selecting the 80-member NEC. Just talking about that, I mean, of course, with national conferences, the party has been at pains to explain that it's not the elective process that is front and center of the conference itself, but it is those policies, long-standing policies, even from the 54th National Conference, that were endorsed, that now need to be implemented. The kind of NEC then that would have to table and look at some of these long-standing policies, like the land expropriation without compensation, as an example, that has been, in the making for some time, to the detriment of South Africans. What are some of the things that they then need to do, to focus on, to make sure that they implement on some of their very own policies? So
we know that Ramaphosa, unless something changes from his qualities and his leadership style, we know that he's a very slow person. He's not decisive. He doesn't take action. He doesn't have speed in taking action. But with Fikile Mbalula as the Secretary General, he's a very hardworking, very passionate, self-driving person, so he will be able to implement him, and then they'll be to
Prof, I just want to remind our viewers that we will definitely be going back to Nasrec as President Cyril Ramaphosa delivers his final outgoing address and closing remarks for the 55th National Conference. I see the top 7 taking their seats. I also saw President Cyril Ramaphosa also seated there. So we will be definitely going there as soon as it begins. All right, so just continuing on that, I mean, we heard Fikile Mbalula as the new Secretary General coming out very strong and courageous and basically saying they will not tolerate anybody who goes against party lines, and it's also some of the conversations that we are hearing from not only Fikile Mbalula, but we also heard it from Gwede Mantashe. We also heard it in the opening address, in fact, of Cyril Ramaphosa ahead of the conference.
So definitely, as I said earlier on, they must discipline, but also you need a builder there. That office that Mbalula is occupying is the epicenter of the organization, is the mainstay of the organization. So he needs to build the structures and the people. So you need a builder there. Probably he must tone down his language and his tone, so that he'll be able to be receptive whenever he interacts with members.
You talked about horse trading and negotiations that were happening, ahead of the elective process of this conference. Talk to us then about some of the leadership we're seeing at branch level. We're told time and time again that branches are important, but some of the leadership that we've seen, particularly in KZN, has been very worrying. They were very much resolute in their candidate, were not willing to negotiate with any other province. And in fact, this is the largest, province in terms of numbers for ANC memberships. But yet you have other provinces that are much smaller, like the Northern Cape, for instance, who've got strong leadership. What is the problem in KZN?
Unfortunately, when you begin to please individuals, as I said, you begin to please individuals above the organization. That's what happens, So the KZN issue and the case study, I'm sure the leaders have learned there, because as you are saying, it happened in 2017 and then it's happening now. I mean, their downfall, they miscalculated, they identified, I think number one, they identified the wrong candidate. A candidate that was, clouded with many, many allegations and other stuff. And then also they want to, KZN leadership probably they need to revisit the Zuma factor issue, because I think sometimes the support of Zuma is at the detrimental of the organization. They need to come to a very, very unpopular decision and analysis and say, yes, he's our member, he's our former leader, but do we go overboard as we are supporting him, or we need to come to a stage and say, when someone is wrong, and we need to correct that, as they are talking about discipline now.